Hello friends, hope you're doing well. So here we come with another video which is manage aggregations in Power BI, and in this topic we are going to discuss about this feature manage aggregations and how it can be configured within Power BI. So for this video I have not prepared any kind of slide because I directly wanted to show you the demo, and we cover all the features, important points about this particular topic, and we'll see the demo using SQL Profiler and Text Studio also. So let's get started. So friends, I have opened my Power BI desktop. Now before we begin with the actual topic, that is managed aggregations, and before we start the demo, let me give you a brief introduction about this particular topic and what this feature is all about. So manage aggregations. So think of a scenario. I'll just define a scenario for you first. So think of a scenario where you have a very large fact table in database. So uh, regarding the fact table, I'm assuming that you already have an understanding about the star schema, the dimensional modeling, and the snowflake schema. So these are the two models which are heavily used in the industry in data warehousing. So suppose you have a data warehouse and you have built a very large fact table, and you have few dimension tables which are linked to that fact table, on top of which you do the aggregations and showing the Power BI. So suppose you have billions of rows in fact table. So what would be the scenario? You cannot just directly import that particular table into Power BI. I'm talking about the fact table. So because it would be a very heavy table, so it will increase the size of your Power BI file. So you cannot just directly source it into or import it into Power BI. So what you will do is you will keep that particular table as a direct query source table, and you will not import that table. Now you would be asking, okay, if I want to build a visual, then what would happen is it will again and again, whenever you build a visual, it will hit the uh, database to bring the data. So whatever aggregations you're performing, and that would be kind of slow because you are again and again hitting the database. And if the database is slow on a slow machine, or the server is a slow machine, or so that what would happen, the visuals might take time to refresh, so that usability point of view wouldn't be very good. But what would happen is in this particular feature, you will actually not be hitting the database, right? So what you will do is you will build a aggregation table. So depending on whatever aggregations you would be very frequently using within Power BI, like you would be doing sum of sales amount. Suppose we are talking about the fact internet sales table. Since we would be using AdventureWorks sample database to do this demo. So let us talk about the fact internet sales table, which contains a very huge number of rows. So you would be doing some basic aggregations, sum, count, average, distinct count. So what we will do is, depending on our use case, we will build those aggregations within that aggregated table. And now that aggregated table would be very small, and we will import the table within Power BI. So now once we have built the table, we have a feature of manage aggregations to link the aggregations we have added into that particular imported table with the direct query source table. So we can define those aggregations, and what would happen is when you will actually build a visual, so the Power BI knows now that when to hit that particular aggregated table, and suppose that particular aggregation is not defined in that table, then it will go to the direct query source table to bring the data. So with this feature, what would happen is your query time would be very fast. So whenever you will build a visual which actually hits the aggregated table, which means the cache, the Vertipack engine, so the visual would be very fast. The loading would be very fast. Within few milliseconds, you won't even realize that the data is being populated. So, and if suppose the data is not present, then obviously it will go to the direct query source table. And as we will learn later, that you can build more than one aggregation tables. So we'll come to that scenario why we need more than two aggregation tables. So friends, let's get started. And I have already prepared the demo. So what I will do is I will take you to one by one through all these steps to build this feature and to explore this particular feature. So let's start. So what I will do is I will open the query editor. So friends, I have opened the query editor now, as you can see on my screen. So what I have done is I have brought few tables into Power BI into the query editor using the AdventureWorks sample database. So you can easily do that by going to the new source and connecting to the SQL server. And let me just show you briefly. So how I brought those tables into query editor, and you have to choose the option direct query, as I mentioned that firstly you have to bring all the tables into direct query mode. So you will give your server details, you will give your database name, that is AdventureWorks, and then you will simply select these 8 tables: TIM date, TIM customer, TIM geography, TIM product category, TIM promotion, fact internet sales, and TIM product category. So all these tables you can easily bring into this query editor in the direct query mode. Okay, so since we have already brought this, so we will not be bringing again those tables. Now, again what you will do is, as you can see these tables, now what is the sales aggregation table? So what I have done is, I have again gone into the new source and again separately brought the fact internet sales table in the import mode. Now this time I have brought it into import mode. The reason I am doing this, as I mentioned earlier, that we have to make a aggregation table on top of the fact internet sales table, which is a fact table. So now what we'll do is we'll build some aggregations. So as you can see here, before we start building the aggregation, let me just tell you about this aggregation table. So there can be many ways to build this aggregation table. One way is you can directly build this table into the data source. That means the database where you have hosted your all the dimensions and fact tables into the data warehouse itself. So you can build that aggregation table there itself using SQL queries, and then you can bring that aggregated table into import mode within Power BI. So that would be one way, and this is another way how you can build the aggregation table within Power BI using query editor. If you don't want to build it into the SQL server, so you can build here. I'll just show you the steps how you can build this, and obviously this table would be in import mode. So let's see what I have done. I have connected to my sales aggregation table. Then we have, as I mentioned, that I have selected the fact internet sales table. Then friends, I have expanded, as you can see here, you get all the tables which are linked to the fact internet sales table. So I've just gone ahead and expanded the DIM product category just to bring the DIM product subcategories keys into this particular table. So what I have done is, if I just scroll, so what you will do is, so you can see here, I have just expanded the DIM product subcategory table and only brought the product subcategory key into this particular fact internet sales table. So this is one step. Now we will go ahead and we will make the aggregations on top of this particular table. So let me just open this particular step using the UI, because I have built this particular aggregation using the UI feature of Power BI query editor, which is a great feature. So now you can see is I have chosen the order date key, which is a part of sales aggregation table, which is a unique key, you can say. And then there is a customer key, and this is the product subcategory key, which I just told you about, that we have brought into this particular table. Now time to define the actual aggregation. So these are the group by columns on which you will perform the group by operation. So now the first aggregation, which is the sum, we are taking the sum of sales amount. So the sales amount is already a part of fact internet sales table. Then there is another column called unit price. So we have defined the sum on top of that. Now these two aggregations, mostly they're same. We'll realize the difference later. So I have just taken the count rows of all the rows of the fact internet sales table, unit price count and the sales count. So this is the aggregation table which we have built right here. So what I will do is I will just close this query editor because this is already built, and let us again go to the Power BI desktop where we'll see how we have used this particular table after building this. So let's switch to the Power BI desktop. Okay, so now we have switched to the Power BI desktop. So let's see the table which we have built, what to do with that particular table. So we'll go to the first relationship view, and we just see where the table is. So I'll just minimize this so as we can see the relationships properly. So I have already built the relationship, so I will just tell you what I have done here is, so as you already know that fact internet sales table is directly connected to the dimension tables through a many to one relationship. So this is one dimension which is connected to the fact internet sales table, dim date. There is another dimension which you can see, this is dim product. So all the dimensions would be having one-to-many relationship with the fact internet sales. Now here, let us forget about this particular table at the moment. So let's concentrate on this particular table which we have just built, that is the aggregation table. So the first step, you will keep this particular table into the hidden mode, because the reason for doing this is an aggregated table which you have built on top of fact sales table. You would not be wanting your users to use this table directly for the visuals, because this table would only serve as an aggregated table behind the scenes for the fact internet sales table. So you can see this table is a proxy, to best define, this table is a proxy for the fact internet sales table, and you will not expose this table to use in the report view for the users. Okay, so let's see what we have done here is, so we have again built those relationships, simple one-to-many relationships with this aggregation table. So as you can see here, let's see this relationship. I have built one-to-many with the customer table. This is the dim date table using the order date key. Then we have the product category key. I have built the relationship with the dim product category table. Okay, and another is the dim customer table. So if you remember, we took the customer key also. So this is so we have built three relationships with this table, as we have three unique keys in this table which we used in the group by clause. So this is how we have built the relationships. So now after defining relationships, what would happen is, as you define the relationship, so let me just expand this to explain it more. So friends, now since we have already built the relationship, so let's see what else I have done here so as to define this as an aggregation table. So I have just expanded the properties menu here. So I've just selected this particular table. As you can see, this table is in import mode as I defined earlier. So now friends, what happened is, whenever you build this relationship, whenever you will build the relationship with the dimension table, what would happen is, you will get a pop-up on the screen which will tell you that, say, if you remember that in the when we actually brought these tables, the dimension tables, into the Power BI, we kept those tables in the direct query source mode, right? So now what would happen is, when we will build the relationship of this table with the newly created sales aggregation table, what would happen is, we will get a pop-up saying that your dimension table is a direct query source table and you are building relationship with the import table. So you are kind of building a composite table. So the best way would be to keep these tables as in dual mode. So friends, to know more about the dual mode, we'll make another video. So just to define it briefly, import mode is, as you know, that you bring all the data into the Vertipack engine and you keep the data within the Power BI file. Direct query source mode is that you keep the tables in the, you don't bring the table into the Power BI, and those tables stay in the database, and you just, whenever you build a visual, you just query those tables to bring the aggregated data. So that is the direct query source mode. And dual mode is that particular table, depending on the relationship, whether that table is having a relationship with direct query source, then it will behave as a direct query source table. So it means it can behave both as a direct query source and import mode table. So now what I have done here is, you will get a pop-up to set these dimension tables in dual mode. So what I have done here is I have set these tables in the dual mode. Whatever tables I have connected with this aggregation table. So as you can see here, another table is, we have dim customer. Dim customer table, I have selected this table. It is again in dual mode. So there was one more table which was the product category subcategory table, which is again in dual mode. Now friends, what happen is, whenever you set a particular table in dual mode, the Power BI automatically sets the parent tables. Means if since this particular table is having a one-to-many relationship with this table, so this table automatically would be set to the dual mode. That is the Power BI feature, because you are using this as a dimension table for this particular table. So this is having a one-to-many relationship. Vice versa, you know that product category is having one-to-many relationship with dim product table. So this table will not be set in the dual mode, because you are not performing aggregations on this table using this table. It's vice versa. You would be performing aggregations on dim product table using dim product subcategory table, depending on the relationship. So this table is kind of child table, so this won't be set into dual mode by default by Power BI. So we will keep this table in direct query mode as such. So I'll discuss it about later why we have kept this particular table in direct query source mode. So this is all about the relationships. So here we have made the relationships with this particular sales aggregation table on top of this. So now we come to the very important step after building these building these relationships. Now we have to define that what aggregations we are performing on top of Fact Internet Sales table using this sales aggregation table. So friends, what I will do is I will open the fields pane, which is on the right side of the screen, as you can see. So this is the sales aggregation table we have defined, the aggregated table. So what I will do is I will right click on the table and I will choose the option manage aggregations. So this will open a dialog box where I can actually define those relationships with the Fact Internet Sales table. So if you remember, we have created this sales aggregation table and we have defined some aggregations, but now we want to tell Power BI that what kind of aggregations we have performed on top of Fact Internet Sales table. So this is the customer key. I will leave it blank for now. I will tell you later why I have kept it blank, and we will define it later. So coming to the order date key, I have chosen the group by operation. I have chosen the Fact Internet Sales table. You can select the table from here, and I have chosen the order date key, which is already present in the Fact Internet Sales table. Then coming to the product subcategory key, I will define it as again group by, because it is a unique key used in group by clause. It is in the dim product table, and the corresponding product subcategory key in the dim product table. Coming to the sales count, we are counting the total rows in the sales table and Fact Internet Sales table. And then the last is sum of sales amount, which is pretty simple, as you can see, sum, Fact Internet Sales and sales amount. So these are the relationships which we have defined. So I have already applied those. So I will just press cancel and disappear this dialog box, so that we can now proceed to see the demo how this aggregation table will perform. Okay, so friends, now we are on the report view of the Power BI, and on the right hand side we can see the tables which we actually included in this particular demo. And as you can see here, we are not able to see the sales aggregation table, which I kept in hidden mode, so the user cannot see it in the report view. So that is working fine. So now we will build our first visual, and we'll see actually whether that visual is sending the query to the underlying data source, that is the database, or the data is getting pulled from the cache itself, that is the Vertipack engine. So what we will do is we'll build a very simple measure. Let me just select the sales amount. So I will just drag the sales amount, as you can see here. What I will do is I will just drag the sales amount here. Okay, and I will just convert into a card symbol. We can see the total sales amount. So this is the total sales amount. Now friends, in order to see whether this particular number was populated using the cache or actually the query was sent to the database, I have opened the SQL profiler. So you can easily select, if you have installed the SQL Server in your machine, you can easily get the SQL Profiler. If you are not having, not to worry, I have another option for that to check that whether the DAX query or the visual was sending the query to the underlying database or not. So let me first open the SQL Profiler. So as you can see here, the SQL Profiler is blank. So it means the data was pulled from the cache. Okay. So friends, now let us try some other scenario where we can see whether the visual is sending the query to the database or not, or whether the data is being pulled from the Vertipack engine. So let me just expand the DIM product subcategory table, and probably this is the field. I will just drag this field, that is the product subcategory names. So as you can see here, we can see the product subcategory names, and what I will do is I will again pull the sales amount from this particular fact internet sales table, and I will just drag this sales amount in the visual. Now as you can see that all the sales amount are being calculated for each of the product subcategory. Now let us see whether this visual sent the query to database or not. So we'll again go back to SQL Profiler, and friends, as you can see, it is again blank. So it means the data was pulled from the cache. So friends, now let us try the third scenario where we will send the query to the database. So what we will do is we will choose the DIM product table. So if you remember, we kept the DIM product table in the direct query source mode, and it is directly connected to the fact internet sales table. So let us pull the English product category name, and we have pulled this, as you can see here, and let me just expand this so that you can see the table properly. And let me again pull the sales amount from the fact internet sales table, and let us see whether the queries hit to the database or not. So I will just drag this particular column. Now you can see it has taken some time, so let's go to the SQL Profiler, and friends, now as you can see here, the query was being sent to the database. So because we didn't define this kind of relationship with the DIM product table, and both table are in direct query source model, direct query source mode, which is the DIM product table and the fact internet sales table. So finally you can see that the query is going to the database. So we can see the details of the query. So you can see that the select product category, product key, cost of sales amount, so as sales amount, and the whole query sent by the SQL Profiler, and it is performing the group by operation and taking the sum of the sales amount for each product key. So friends, in this way we have seen that how this aggregated table can help us fetch the data very fast using Vertipack engine, or actually sending the query to the database depending on the scenario or depending on the aggregation you are choosing. So now let us discuss about the another approach where we can test this particular thing. So on the first approach, I told you by building the visuals in Power BI. There is another approach if you are not having SQL Profiler, as I talked about. So what you can do is you can download the DAX Studio. So DAX Studio is a very beautiful tool to troubleshoot the DAX queries, the underlying DAX queries, or you can write new DAX queries and you can test there. And once you have tested your code, then you can use that particular DAX query within the Power BI desktop. So I will just open the DAX Studio. So this is the DAX Studio environment. I will share the link to download this particular tool in the description below for this video, and you can easily download this and get a hands-on on this particular tool. You can get the basic idea of this tool on their website. So I'll just give you a brief introduction. What you do is you just first connect to the Power BI file. So whatever file is open at this particular moment, it will show in the drop down. So right now I have only opened one instance of Power BI, so it is showing me that particular instance here, and also you can select that particular Power BI file. So what it does is it connects to the Power BI model. So if you remember, we imported these same tables, and we are also able to see the hidden tables. So this is the sales aggregation table. So now here on the query interface, what I have done is I have written some DAX queries, and these are the same queries which we tried in the visual. You can try these same queries in the visual also. Basically, these are the underlying DAX queries which Power BI sends or Power BI executes when you build a particular visual or a card or any visual which you build. So what I will do is So as you can see, this first query, what we are doing here is we are summarizing the columns. We are taking the sum of fact internet sales amount and we are summarizing on dim date calendar year. So this is the column coming from the dim date and we have chosen the year. So we are taking the per year sales from the fact internet sales. So let us just execute this query and let's see what happens. So as you can see friends, I will choose the server timings option. So this option remains enabled. So this server timing options actually tells us whether this particular query was sent to the database or not. So whether the query is hitting the cache or not. So I will just run this query and as you can see here, this is a match found operation. So match found means that this particular aggregation, this particular DAX query hit the cache and the query didn't go to the underlying data source, that is a database. So this is the match we have found. Now coming to the second query, we can see here we are again taking the dim product category, English product category name and sum of sales amount. So friend, you can guess whether this particular query will hit the cache or not. So you can take some time to think. You can pause this video and just think about what will happen. So remember that we already built the relationship with the product subcategory key and this table is the parent table of product subcategory. So this particular query should hit the cache as per the manage aggregation behavior. So we'll just execute this query and we'll see that we have seen that the match is found. It means that this particular query hit the cache. Now coming to the third query, again we are taking the dim product, English product name and sum of sales amount. So now if you remember friends, we built the same kind of visual. Let me just go back and show you. So this is the visual we are talking about now. So this visual actually fires this particular query. So behind the scenes, the Power BI fires this particular query. So let us try here also whether it is hitting the cache or not. So now you can see it is taking some time and the attempt is failed. So you can see the actual query also which we saw in the SQL profiler. It's the same query and we can see now here that actually the cache was not being hit and the query was sent to the underlying database because we were not having this kind of aggregation defined in the aggregated table. Now coming to the fourth scenario, we are taking just the count rows of the fact internet sales table based on calendar year. So what the total sales are done per year. So let us execute this and see. Again match found because you already know that we have defined the relationship with the dim date table and we are just counting the rows and we have defined this kind of operation, this kind of aggregation of counting the fact internet sales tables rows. So now friends, let's come to the summarize column. This is the fifth DAX query which we will execute here. Now you can see here we are taking the average price of unit price. So what do you think what would happen here? So you can again pause this video and think about it. Let's try this, what would happen. So let's execute this and you can see that this particular query has hit the cache. Now you will ask me why this particular query hit the cache. We have taken the average and we haven't defined the average. So friends, let me tell you what happens behind the scene is the average statement is broken into two statements. Behind the scenes it is actually doing the sum and dividing it by the number of rows. So that's why it hit the cache and we have defined both kind of operations in the manage aggregation table, the count rows and the sum. So that's why this particular DAX query hit the cache. Now coming to the distinct count operation. So friends, if you remember in the manage aggregations table, we left the relationship with the customer key as blank. I didn't define it purposely just to show you this particular demo that it will not hit the cache. So let us execute this and then I will explain you what I'm trying to say here. So as you can see that the attempt was failed and the query was being sent to the underlying database. So friend, what happened? Let me just explain you again. So basically in the dimensional model, whenever we make any kind of dimensional model within Power BI, so actually by default, if you even don't define the group by statements in the manage aggregation table, it is considered by default because you have defined the relationships with the fact internet sales table for with the aggregated table. So by default, it automatically identifies whether I can perform this operation or not. But the exception is the distinct count. So for distinct count, you have to define the group by as mandatory. Otherwise, it is optional. If you are doing any other kind of aggregation, suppose sum of sales amount or any sum, average, min, max, so those will be automatically handled by the relationship you have defined with the fact internet sales table, and you need not to define the group by clauses in the manage aggregation dialog box. Those are optional. But for the distinct count operation, this is exception and you have to define. So let us go back to the Power BI, and what we will do is we will again go to relationship view, and we will again open the manage aggregations table. And now this time what we'll do is we will define this group by, and we will select the fact internet sales table, and we will select the customer key, and I will apply this statement. Okay, so now we have explicitly defined the group by clause for the customer key. Now let us go back to the DAX Studio and again execute this particular query and see what happens. So now you can see, friends, the match is found, and we have actually hit the cache. So friend, this is the thing I wanted to show you. That's why I purposely kept the customer key group by statement as blank initially. So now friends, coming to another query, if you can just see this query closely, and if you see what kind of operations we are performing, what we are doing is we are taking the sum of sales amount and we are dividing it by count rows. So friends, this is again a kind of average only. Now we have, instead of defining the average statement directly, we have done the sales, taken the sum and divided it by the count rows. So again, this query will hit the cache because we have defined this particular relationship in the aggregated table. So now we have found the match. So friends, like this you can actually run this particular DAX query within the DAX Studio, and you can actually see that whether that query is getting hit on the cache or not. So we can try another one. Let me just try this one. We are taking pin date, calendar, product category, calculate. Now we are taking sales year to date. So this is a time intelligence function which gives you the year to date sales, and we are taking the calendar quarter and the English product category name in the group by clause. So let us execute this and see what happens. So as you can see here, it is actually showing me the match found again, and it has found the it has actually hit the cache, because if you remember, we have defined both kind of relationships. We have defined with the product subcategory key in the group by clause, and this is the parent table of dim product subcategory. Already we have defined the group by clause with the dim date, that is the dim date date key, and this calendar quarter belongs to the same table, so that's why it hit the cache. So this is the scenario which I was talking about, friend. So now we have covered the manage aggregations table, and I have showed you how we can build up aggregated table on top of fact internet sales table, which is a quite big table, and we have seen how we can utilize the cache or not utilize the cache depending on the aggregation we have performed. And this is very useful in the scenarios where we want the fast query response times, or we don't want kind of delay. So in those particular scenarios, you can effectively utilize this particular sales aggregated table. And where you want near to real time data, you don't bother about the refresh times, so then you can send those queries to the underlying database. So here we come to the end of this lecture. So before ending this lecture, what I will do is I will again share you the important points with you, which are the exceptions for this particular manage aggregations feature in the Power BI. So as I mentioned, that distinct count is an exception. You have to explicitly define the distinct group by clause if you are performing the operation distinct count. Now the second rule is manage aggregation. The detail column must have the same data type as the aggregation column. And another one is aggregations which perform count and count table operations, that is count and count rows, should have the whole number as the data type. So friend, these 2 points are very important.
what is the meaning of these 2 points, I will explain you. Let me go back again to the uh, query editor to explain you this feature. So what I will do is I will just expand this menu bar. So we will again go back to the query editor where we actually created this sales aggregated table. So now the query editor is open. So friends, those 2 points which I mentioned you, what I'm trying to say with those points is, so let us go back to the sales aggregation table which we created. So let us go again to the first point, which says that the detail column must have the same data type as the aggregation column. Okay, the detail column. So let us go back to the operation. Sorry, let me open the query editor. So here you can see that we perform how many aggregations. If we just open the dialog box where we define the aggregations. So you can see there we define 2 sum operations and 2 count rows operations. So sum operations we define for sum unit price and sum of sales amount. So let us go back to the query editor and let's select this table. You can see that we have defined this data type as decimal number. So it is a mandate that whenever you are performing the operations like sum, min, max, you have to choose the same data type as the underlying column for this particular table. So if you go back to the fact internet sales table and you go back to the sales amount, let us see the sales amount. So you can see that it is of the type decimal. So you have to keep the same data type in the aggregated table also, which I just saw you. And similarly, if you will see for the unit price also, you will find that it is again the decimal type. So this is what I was trying to say for the first point. Now coming to the second point. Second point says that aggregation which perform count and count rows operation should have the whole number as data type. So let's again go back to the query editor and let's select the aggregation table. So what you will see is the count rows operation was defined for sales count and unit price count, and you can see that the data type selected is whole number. So this is what the 2 points were saying. So you have to remember these 2 points and you have to specifically implement these 2 points so that the managed aggregations behavior works correctly. So friends, with this we come to the end of this video, and this is the part 1 of this video. This particular topic, manage aggregations. We'll build another video where we will define 2 aggregation tables. We will define the scenario where we can use more than 1 aggregation table. So in this particular video we have seen only 1 aggregation table. So in the second video we will create 1 more aggregation table and see how 2 aggregation tables are used, and in what scenarios we'll use 2 aggregation tables. So thank you for watching this video, and please do subscribe to our channel for latest videos for Power BI and DAX. Thank you and take care.